1 in Super 12 was always slated to be this group that would be very well poised, that would be intense, and yet this result, you can call it a fair and square upset. Ireland, who came in from round 1, qualified into Super 12, put on the board against England, who won the toss and opted to bowl first, 157 runs at the end of their 19.2 overs. Andy Balbirnie, the captain, was brilliant, so was Alokhan Tucker. England, in their response, kept losing wickets. There was weather around and all of us knew that, by the end of which Ireland winning the game by 5 runs, because at the time when rain intervened, England were 5 runs behind. Hello and welcome. You're watching Cricbuzz Live. My name is Tanay Tiwari. With me on the show, Zaheer Khan and Michael Vaughan. Gentlemen, welcome. And Michael, this isn't the result you woke up at 4 a.m. for.
No, I didn't predict this one. I think Zach predicted at the start of the show potentially an upset. Absolutely spot on and thoroughly deserved. If you look at Ireland now in the World Cup, they've hammered the West Indies and now they've beaten England. And of course they've won on Douglas Lewis Stern. But I think in terms of two sides today, Ireland were at the races, England weren't. With the ball in hand, Ireland were magnificent. England were pretty pathetic for around 15 overs and got it right towards the back end. But the lengths, the lines were just too inconsistent. Ireland, when they got the ball in hand, got the ball moving around. I thought that first over from Little was magnificent, setting the tone. Then Adair started swinging it both ways. The pitch was clearly quite a difficult one when she got the lines and the lengths right. Dropping a couple of catches as well, Ireland. It could have been a lot easier if they'd have held the chances, but full credit to the Irish. They have something over England. They certainly do. Even in a test match that they played at Lords, they bowled England out for 80 odd. Yeah. England ended up winning that test match, but they just have something over England in major tournaments going back to 2011 to today. Absolutely deserved. They've been a real quality side on show today. They've just done the basics right. They've got players playing better with the bat in hand, and in the field, the captain, I just thought he got his tactics spot on. So thoroughly deserved for the Irish.
That's all right, Zach, because a lot of times in these DLS-related encounters, there are contentions. It's a contentious issue. But today, whoever's watched the game will say, even if they won by DLS, Ireland were fairly and squarely ahead at the time when the rain came.
Yes, England actually never looked comfortable. With the ball also, first 10 overs, Ireland scored 92. So that is something which shows that they were actually out there for the competition. And with the ball also, those early wickets did help. Yes, you can say that the batting depth of England is there. Moeen Ali was looking good. Livingston and Moeen Ali could have got them home with Sam Curran coming, Wokes coming. At this stage, they will think that, okay, if it was a 20-over game, we had a chance. Mm-hmm. We were setting it up to be using the power at the back end and finish the game. But if you look at the game, Ireland was pretty much controlling the game through and through. So making use of the conditions, getting the ball in the right areas. England didn't seem comfortable while batting as well. So that is something which was a concern. Even at this stage, even though Moeen Ali was looking to take on the spinner, you still weren't sure that, okay, England was going to be a definite winner. Ireland were putting up a fight, so I think they do deserve this victory. Even though it is on Duckworth Lewis, I think they fought hard. They controlled the game. So looking at all that, I think no one is going to say that, oh, thanks to Duckworth Lewis, Ireland won this game. In fact, those 5 runs are looking like that because in the last few deliveries,
last 3 balls, 12 runs,
scored about 10-12 runs.
12 runs, yeah.
So you take those runs away and it's looking like a completely the real picture actually, showing that Ireland was in control of the game. England still had to bat really well, bat out of their skin to make sure that they get 2 points. Wasn't the case, be it for weather or for cricket. I think Ireland deserved to win today.
Michael, where did the fault lie today? I mean, if you had to really pinpoint, you said that the bowling performance, you weren't very impressed with it. But even with the bat, you always knew that the weather was going to be around. And yet to consistently keep losing those wickets in a chase that shouldn't have been very difficult. Midway mark, all of us were of the opinion that it shouldn't be that difficult to chase. And yet here they are.
Yeah, but I think what Ireland did well is that, Zach will tell you, in T20 cricket, you've got to make the batter play a good shot. And I thought England, with the ball in hand, allowed Ireland to play, kind of easy shots because the bowling was so poor. There were two sides of the wicket. Yes, Ireland seemed to make themselves, a little bit of space by going to the leg side and hit over the offside, but England weren't aware of that and didn't follow them. You saw Pat Cummins yesterday bowling. Every time a Sri Lankan right-hander went to the leg side, he followed them. I didn't see enough of that from England today. They just were off it with the ball. With the bat, I just thought Ireland said to them, there you go, we're going to try and bowl as well as we can and make you play big shots. And when you ask a batting team to do that, it's T20 cricket. You see the ball go in the air and you see a few mistakes. I still feel if it had gone all the way, I still think Moeen Ali, Liam Livingstone, Sam Curran, Wokes Wood, Rashid would potentially have got them over the line. But it just tells you, it doesn't matter who you play. And when there's rain around, again, Zach will say the same, it sometimes plays with your mind when you start and when you're not. Your mindset has to be so good that you suddenly start and you've got to be switched on. And you think there was a little delay at the start, and England started, bowled 2 overs, then went off, then came back on. They're the experienced pros, the team that have won a 50-over World Cup. There's many of those players playing. They should have been better. They should have been able to switch on sooner. And they just lapsed for that kind of split second. And at this level, it's very, very difficult then to get back into real competitive mode. So England will be honest. They'll say, and Mark Wood did an interview at the halfway house and he said, we weren't good enough. We weren't good enough with the ball. I'm going to have to bat very well on this wicket. And that transcends then into your batting. England have the banana skin, the two teams in this league really, Afghanistan and Ireland, the top teams, the New Zealand's, Australia's, England's, even Sri Lanka's, we're thinking they're 2 wins under our belt. And when you're playing really well, you start thinking about net run rate. Now, what have England done? They've played the 2 lesser teams. They've lost one. And look at the net run rate. It's not really high enough having played the 2 lesser teams. So all to do in Friday's game against Australia. It just makes that Ashes 2020 contest that little bit more special.
That it does. But it's so true. And that's something that you also mentioned, Zach, on the Combox. You said that the batters from England did seem nervy, and that's something that Michael's also saying. They were just not switched on at the right time.
That does happen in a run chase, and when you have runs on board, and Ireland got that ideal start as well. Picking 2 big wickets early certainly put England on the back foot. So that is something always works in this format, and the margin of error is so small. The format is so condensed that these things can happen. And that's why when you're playing against the lesser teams, if they're batting first and if they get off to a total, that really gives them that sniff and they go all out. I think that's something which did happen today. England actually were lucky that they didn't score 175, 180 runs. So that is something which was always going to be tricky. Still 160, you would have backed England to win the game. Even though they lost early wickets, you still thought with the batting depth, they will be able to see through. But because of the conditions, that was not getting easier for England. You saw Malan also trying to take those chances, was not able to do that. So England needed to get a move on, which they were ready for. It's just that the timing of that maybe was a touch late in their innings.
Yeah, Michael, the English fans are perhaps looking at the scorecard and saying, in the end, it was just about those 5 runs. And could it have come down to the fact that Liam Livingstone was demoted for a matchup ploy, perhaps sending Moeen Ali ahead? If Livingstone had come in, perhaps because he's that big hitter who can go from ball 1, things could have been different?
No, not really. When you look at Moeen Ali, he was striking it fantastically well. In that last over, he obviously saw the clouds coming and realised that he needed to start hitting the boundary. No, I understand why England went 2 left-handers with the 2 spinners, the leg spin and the left-arm spin. England would have wanted Moeen Ali against the spin. And I thought that was quite a clever move. Look, I still think England would have had enough power and enough skill to get over the line. But, Zach's right. England really should have been chasing 175, 180. They were chasing the 157 because they bowled well at the back end and Ireland didn't quite get it right. T20 cricket is a great format because you can get games like this. You only have to be off it for a split second, a split few overs. One player comes off. I thought Balbirnie with the bat was tremendous, set the tone. I mean, you're going back to that run out at the non-strikers end of Tucker, and they would have got to 175, 180 if that hadn't have happened. England have been playing well, so it really surprised me that they weren't on it. I didn't expect an England side to arrive today, even with a little bit of drizzle and rain, to be off it so much. You look at someone like Chris Wokes, who if you said Chris Woakes in these conditions, would he get it wrong? I would say Chris Woakes wouldn't get it wrong. Well, maybe once in 30 times. You just think Chris Woakes is a banker. He's such an experienced pro. But look at his figures. 3 overs for 41. Stokes started well. He didn't go for many in his first 2. Mark Wood, he's just having a fantastic time bowling pace. Sam Curran wasn't great at the start, but really good at the end. But it's those figures of Chris Woakes, 3 overs for 41, going at near on 14 runs and over in those conditions when we saw the ball swinging, carrying through to Josh Butler. He just didn't get it right at all this evening.
But how good were Ireland, Zach? I mean, with the bat, with the ball, in the field, they could have been better. Admittedly, I'm pretty sure they'll also admit to that. Those dropped catches, this could have been over very soon. But apart from that, with the ball, with the bat, the execution was top-notch.
Yeah, they'll be very proud of their performance. There's no doubt about that. You expect always the associate nations, especially when they come on to this stage, you want to see competition. You want to see them grow. And Ireland is one team who has been consistently doing well in these tournaments. So when you are playing against them, you can never relax. You give them a sniff and they are on to it. That's something which England has faced in the past.
Yeah.
We were not expecting in this World Cup, but we got to witness that as well. So I think the upset which we are talking about of the World Cup, we've seen it. We'll have to see now how many upsets are still there, because today, if it's a day of upsets, then Afghanistan is playing against New Zealand. You might see that also, and England will be hoping for that, because they have kind of created a situation for themselves in this group that they're relying on some other result as well.
Yes, Michael.
Yeah, I'm just saying it. When Ireland beat England in the 50-over World Cup in India in 2011, England weren't a great one-day team. They really were a team that played a little bit in the old way. They got close in a couple of the games after losing to Ireland, but from 2015, when the World Cup went so wrong in Australia, England's white ball cricket has been immense. They've been outstanding. Owen Morgan, Trevor Bayliss just transcended England to being this powerhouse of a white ball unit. So that's what makes today's result so special for Ireland. They have beaten an incredible England unit, a really good England side that have got every tool, every dimension covered. They've got the experience, they've got the world beaters, they've got the skill levels. So for Ireland to have beaten England at the MCG on a pitch that was fair, it wasn't that Ireland got lucky in terms of the conditions at the toss. They had to do it the hard way, from probably batting in conditions that were a little bit harder. To win in that fashion against an England side that's been playing so well and are at the top of their game, that tells you that the associate nations are getting close. Not close to win a World Cup, I don't think, but I just want to see more associate nations given more opportunity to play the game, because it's clear to see. You look at the way Scotland are playing, you see Afghanistan's growth over the last few years, and when you see Ireland doing this to England today, it just tells you we can get more countries playing the game. Anything can be possible over the time.
That is so well put, Michael, because it's so true. I mean, the way Ireland have played, especially in this game, everything was even Stevens for either teams. And as Michael said, this England team had world beaters in it, and they were, pre-tournament favourites to make it to the semi-finals. And to beat them at the MCG, at the biggest of stages, does take a lot of gut. But that means that this Group 1 is really open now, Zach. Something that Michael also mentioned earlier in the show, that now, because England versus Ireland, England would have seen that encounter and said, all right, we get those 2 points very easily, then we move on to the bigger encounters. Now that's not happening, which means Australia suddenly find themselves in the fray. They would fancy that, okay, if we beat Ireland and perhaps Afghanistan, we have a chance as well now that we've beaten Sri Lanka. So this opens things up really well.
It's still open, and I think it will be. This is the happening group of the tournament. There's no doubt about that. And England losing to Ireland today is going to open it up further. Australia will be very happy. Australia will be very excited with this result. And England Australia is going to be the most crucial game of this group. There's no doubt about that. New Zealand Afghanistan today we'll have to see what that result is. And both the teams will be thinking that, okay, they will be rooting for Afghanistan. They'll be rooting for Afghanistan to create another upset, to just make things even more interesting in this group.
That is so true. And Michael, that England versus Australia encounter really becomes very critical. But the one thing going for Australia is that even if they lose that encounter, they still will look at the England-New Zealand encounter, because that's the one big team that England are still due to play.
Yeah, I reckon if Australia win on Friday, England are gone. I think they're out, because I see Australia beating Afghanistan and Ireland. So they'll end up with 4 victories. I think that'll be enough to see them through. Then England will have to win all the remaining games, but not only win, they'll have to win them really well, because they've played the 2 teams that you would try and improve your net run rate against. And England obviously have lost against Ireland and haven't really done much against Afghanistan in terms of net run rate. So what Australia have in their favour on Friday is that whatever happens, they know that it probably will come down to net run rate, or they'll hope it does if they lose to England. And then they can really target Ireland and Afghanistan in those last 2 games. So this wicket, with a bit of pace, a bit of bounce, I would think the likes of Mitchell Starc, Josh Hazlewood, Pat Cummins, you would hope that they will be licking their lips to bowl on this. We've seen Mark Wood today, he's just been zipping it through. We saw Josh Little getting it through with great pace, great movement. Chris Wokes will be nervy, because he's back on the same venue on Friday. I'm sure he'll play, having just been hit for over 40 against Ireland in 3 overs. So, it's going to be a big game. I hope it's a sellout. I hope we can surpass the India versus Pakistan crowd. I don't know if that's possible. I hope we get a similar game, a great spectacle, because what today has brought, again, is it's great for the World Cup. It's not great for England, obviously, to have lost, but it's great for a World Cup when you get a lesser team, an associate nation, beating one of the favourites. One of the favourites to go on and win the tournament certainly are England, and they've just been taken down by Ireland, it's great for the tournament.
That's so true. This group opens up such massive possibilities as well. Well, this T20 World Cup, it keeps on giving. There's another game, New Zealand playing Afghanistan. The tossware is delayed because of the rain. So the moment we have more updates, we'll come back with that. Thank you so much to Zach. Thank you so much to Michael Vaughan for joining in. Now, I leave you with a thought. The last time Ireland beat England in a World Cup encounter, guess who won the World Cup? I'm just leaving you with that. Not saying anything else. Think about it. Think about it. Think about it. We'll see you super soon.